MeMonster.
Chapter 151, Naha. The girl, who had just defeated 7 opponents with ease, wiped her nose. "Sorry for being late. I got lost on the way." She scratched her head and laughed. "Yernit said it was to the right, but it turned out to be to the left. I ended up going around the same place for 1 hour." Boom. The airship's cannon fired. The girl's fist blurred, and with a flash of lightning, the cannonball vanished on the spot. I squinted my eyes. "Just wait a sec. Let me handle this annoyance first." The girl extended her right hand. "Come forth, Brayunak." Crackle. Golden lightning began to gather in her right hand, forming the shape of a winged bow, Brayunak, one of the 5 legendary weapons exclusive to the first party. As Nihaku mimed drawing the bow, a golden arrow materialized. Bang! Crackle! A golden flash enveloped everything in sight. The lightning bolt shot from Brayunak pierced through the airship's protective barrier as easily as tofu and penetrated the deck. And then, boom! The massive airship exploded instantly. It breached dozens of magical barriers and steel plates in a single strike. A demise so trivial it was almost pathetic for its size. Let's see, about 25. 3 of them were magicians. A fair division of labor. "Master, you look a bit odd. Is it my way of speaking that bothers you? Sorry, it didn't work out the way I wanted." The girl scratched her head, looking somewhat embarrassed. Yernit's voice tickled my ears. "Please be understanding. She can't help it." The heroes who first encountered her had all reacted in unusual ways. Well, I was already aware of her unique personality. "It's fine. I was expecting this." The girl before me was the most lively and active among the 5 heroes of the first party, and the youngest. She was Nihaku Gestfell, ranked 5th in Niflheim's hierarchy. "That is, you are?" Lydell stuttered, staring at Nihaku. "From the 13th floor? Nihaku, it's an honor to meet a hero of your renown." "There's no need for such honorifics." Lydell vigorously shook Nihaku's hand. "Just as the rumor said, you're strong. To think you could destroy an airship with 1 strike!" "You're overreacting. It's nothing special." The girl brushed off Lydell's hand and looked at me. Then she bowed politely. "I am Nihaku Gestfell. It's an honor to meet you, Master. I heard you visited before, but you were already gone. I was quite saddened. I thought maybe you didn't like me." "There's nothing to like or dislike. It's good to see you here." "Master, you're as cool and dashing as I imagined." Let's skip the compliments. I looked to the side. Crackle, crackle. Electric currents swirled around the remnants of the destroyed airship. It was an astonishing display of power. This airship was far more advanced than any I had faced in Harla. It was protected by a high-intensity magical barrier, but Nihaku destroyed it with 1 strike. Seeing it from a hero's perspective really brings it home. As a master, I had only ever looked down upon these events. Of course, Nihaku hadn't shown her full strength. That had been merely a playful gesture. Anyway, the problem was solved. I returned inside the ship. We were close to our destination. I had planned to get some sleep. "Why are you following me?" "Can't I?" Nihaku clung to my side. I shook my head and entered my room. Nihaku tried to follow me into the hammock like a pet snuggling up to its owner. I pushed her away. Nihaku Gestfell. When she was first summoned, she did nothing. Just lay in her room as if dead, barely breathing. A total dud. I nearly replaced her several times, but refrained. If I hadn't accidentally discovered her talent for combat, she would have been fused away. After that, it was a test of endurance. She was so stubborn. Looking back, it became clear. These beings did indeed live within the game. I had harbored deep-seated prejudices. What good does it do now? Later, Lytle's guidance woke me up. We had arrived at our destination. After dressing, I looked down to see Nihaku sleeping soundly below. I left her there and went out. Upon reaching the deck, I was met with an unexpected scene. Lightgrid 07 was sliding over the airfield towards the hangar, but there were no guides in sight. This wasn't a portal to Niflheim. Seconds later, I realized where we were. Brynhild? Yes, our destination is not Niflheim. Lytle saluted me. Brynhild 01, the flagship of Niflheim's fleet. We were inside the hangar of Brynhild 01. I'll leave you here, Master. It was an honor to serve you. Clank, creak. The airship's stairs began to unfold. After thanking Lytle for her service, I descended the stairs. Welcome back, Master. Have you been well? Yernit greeted me with a smile. Why are you wearing this uniform? Yernit wasn't in her usual voluminous white robe, but in a black uniform decorated with white embroidery. I'm so sleepy. Please come this way. We've prepared a place for you. An elevator descended from above. Are you my guide for today? I boarded it and it began to ascend. Yes, Master, I have something to report. Is that right? Yes, to eliminate all potential threats to Master. Did you receive the report? I've got a rough estimate. The Bart's Alliance, was it? It'd be helpful to have footage of the attack. Of course it's prepared. The elevator continued its steep ascent. The scenery changed. The interior of Brynhild unfolded before us. Where are we? This doesn't seem anywhere near Niflheim. We're not far from the assembly point of the Union Guild. A forward base, then. Yernit had adapted to the situation appropriately. This location was actually more convenient for rapid action. But, Master, I have a request if you'll permit. What is it? It's to preserve the Master's dignity. Yernit smiled softly, sending a chill down my spine. You won't refuse, will you? Depends on the need. It's absolutely necessary. The elevator stopped. The top-floor corridor of Brynhild appeared. This way. Yernit opened a door on the side of the corridor and led me in. I followed, but with a puzzled expression. A circular room lined with mirrors. A mannequin, modeled after my physique, wore a stunning uniform. You can't mean. I've designed this with great care, the uniform of Niflheim's commander. You expect me to wear this? The uniform's chest was adorned with elaborate golden embroidery, the epaulets, the shiny metallic belt, and the black leather boots. It was beyond comprehension. There are other crew members in the command bridge, a fitting presence for the Master. No way! I refuse. What? Why not? I made this outfit specifically for you. Yernit's shoulders dropped. It's absurd. Leather armor is enough for me. If the commander appears in shabby attire, it might affect morale. This was madness. I shook my head. I thought you said you'd agreed to anything. I never said that. It's disappointing to think you don't appreciate my efforts for you. Yernit wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Really? Can't you reconsider? Yernit looked at me with a pleading expression. This manipulator. 30 minutes later. Bravo! Naha! I was walking down the corridor. With every step, the stiff sensation brushed against my entire body.
You look magnificent. It's truly breathtaking. Didn't I tell you to be quiet? I felt mortifyingly embarrassed. I pressed down the cap's brim. Silently, I walked down the corridor. Yernit followed, continuously expressing her bizarre admiration. Annoying. Given her personality, she's bound to keep a photo of this. Today, a dark history has been made. Of course, Yernit's point had some merit. I was the one who had provided the heroes with their uniforms to foster a sense of belonging. Yernit was wearing one of those uniforms. I never imagined I would end up wearing one myself. After about 5 minutes of walking, the command bridge of Brunhild was revealed. The size of a small sports field. The leader's seat was at the center, with the control station and crew seats arranged in a circle. Several heroes who were busy with their duties turned to look at me and bowed. The identity of the master won't spread. Only those with tight lips were selected. I hope so. I looked away. The glass showing the blue sky was visible. Please, take a seat. Yernit pointed to the leader's seat. I clicked my tongue and sat down. In front of me was a circular table with a hologram map floating above it. First, yes, have we located all the members of the first party? I needed Yernit because I didn't have command authority over the first party. Without the 5 from the 13th floor, there could be losses. Yernit nodded. As you can see, Nihaku has already joined us. Rijin will come rushing if you give the word. We've received a reply from Muden. However, it's Ceres we're missing. It seems she's quite far away. What would you like to do? We can call her if necessary. Leave her be. Ceres wasn't necessary. That was the conclusion I reached after analyzing the Union Guild's forces. Understood. I'll immediately issue command authority in your name to the other members. Do that. I'll be stepping out for a moment. Yernit bowed respectfully. The combat data you requested will be brought by a new intern. Intern? They'll be here shortly. Yernit left with a meaningful smile. I examined the table. It was covered in documents with various information, including Niflheim's mobilizable forces and details about the Union Guild. I used to receive this information digitally when I was a master. Looks like I won't be sleeping tonight. I started flipping through the documents at the front. Then, suddenly, a small fairy struggling with a document bag flew towards me. Why does that fox always make me do this? Go make coffee or something. Always nagging. I'm so annoyed. Just wait. When Loki recognizes my value, I'll show you. Our eyes met. You're... How have you been, Pirate King? I didn't hear you were coming. When did you arrive? Just now. Isel placed the document bag on the table. I looked her over. She wasn't wearing her Pirate King outfit, but she had on a black uniform and a cap. The eye patch covering her left eye remained. Adjusting well? You were dreaming about coming to Niflheim. Well, not as easy as you thought? Did you think it would be? To abandon my grand dream of soaring through the skies? To be suddenly kidnapped and turned into a slave? It's miserable. So miserable. The name of the Pirate King cries out. Then I'll release you. Ah! Isel spread her hands. Being Niflheim's intern is the best! Isel spun around, and in her right hand appeared a Mixim brand instant coffee packet, and in her left hand a paper cup filled with hot water. She quickly made the coffee and placed the paper cup on the table. Coffee, scanning, copying. I'm perfect. Dreams change. From now on, I'll be the king of interns. Remember that. After doing this and that, Isel zoomed away. I opened the document bag. It contained records of the attack on the Bart's Alliance. As I touched the edge of the paper, it crumbled into light. The record has been entered. The table's hologram displayed the text. So it's digital after all. I drank the coffee. It tasted just like the coffee I used to have on Earth.
Chapter 152. It was late in the afternoon when I finally finished reviewing all the documents. The content was extensive, far beyond basic statistics like troop numbers or airship counts. The report included detailed personal records for every member of the Union Guild, their spending histories, and even comprehensive information on notable heroes, including their characteristics and biographies. I have to read all this? While I admired Urnet's ability to capture even the smallest details, exhaustion weighed heavily on me. Well, it was my own request to have the reports this thorough. Back then it felt like playing a game, but now I shook my head and reached for my cup, only to find it empty. I extended my hand. Iselle made a sound effect with her mouth and instantly prepared a mixed coffee for me. I gulped down the hot drink. "How do you think it will go?" Iselle asked, peeking out as I drank. She had been in and out several times to carry document bags, so she must have been curious. "I know because I've been in Harla, but the Union Guild is really strong, especially their leader. He's incredible. He hasn't lost even once up to the 70th floor. I only saw that guy's hero once." Iselle shivered. "You saw him?" "It was a demonstration duel. Dozens of kids fell without even touching a hair on him. What's scarier is that he's only considered slightly stronger than the other members of his main party." Of course, the spending history of that leader was astronomical. He poured in billions of wand in less than 3 months. He owns nearly 35-star heroes by birth. The power of money can't be ignored. Though I'm known as a model non-spender, my own spending was significant. Over 40 million won in 2 years, not just for hero summoning, but also for building facilities and enjoying other conveniences. I hardly do it anymore. I reviewed the Union's gathered forces. There were 578 airships. The number of heroes was close to 5,000. Considering most of them are combatants, it was a staggering number. Niflheimer's total membership is 20,000, but the actual number of combatants is much lower. There must be even more in reality. They said they owned nearly 1,000 airships, almost double Niflheimer's. The number of heroes would be similar. Even for Loki, who wins every battle, this won't be easy. Iselle raised her snout proudly. "Why are you proud? You're part of Niflheimer now." Cough, cough. "It's just a warning. Since the Union is not to be underestimated, I meant to say give it your all." Iselle approached me with sparkling eyes. "So, Loki, what's the plan? Do you have a secret weapon to turn this disadvantage around? Some ingenious strategy that deceives the heavens and covers the earth?" "There's nothing like that," I replied, sipping my coffee. "Eh? There's no such strategy." "What? What do you mean? How will we turn this around? If we face them head-on, we'll lose. Niflheimer's forces are—" "You know it, right? 20,000 heroes, 427 airships." Iselle looked stunned. I smiled faintly and looked at the hologram. There, a declaration of war sent by the Union Guild to Niflheimer was posted. "Let's fight fair and square in one place, until one side is annihilated. The winner takes all, and will broadcast our victory." The Union Guild wanted a massive fleet battle. One thing to note was their intention to broadcast the battle on 1-inch TV, from the beginning to the end. They intended to show the world Niflheimer's downfall. A broadcast? None of my opponents had ever done such a thing. The declaration ended with an offer. If I admitted defeat and joined the Union Guild, they would acknowledge my regime. After reading the words once more, I turned off the hologram. The battle is scheduled for tomorrow. Not real time, tomorrow in game time. This news would have spread to all pick-me-up sites, including the official cafe by now. If I don't show up, they'll mock and laugh at me, turning me into a joke. A shallow trick. The deadline is extremely short, a ploy to reduce my preparation time. This is dangerous." Iselle, looking at the declaration with me, held her head, sweating profusely and swaying as if defeat was already certain. "It would be better if you surrender to the Union and later— Ack!" Iselle spun like a windmill and flew away. Then Urnett entered the bridge and bowed to me. "Please forgive me, it seems my inexperience led me to a careless mistake." "There's nothing to forgive. I don't mind." "Master, have you decided on a response?"
I nodded. Where are the other two? Rygion has just arrived through the dimensional gate. Mayuden will take a bit more time. That makes sense. He's far away. I emptied the cup in one gulp and said, tomorrow, I'll go out at the time they've set. What about the deployment of troops? I opened my mouth with a smile. The next evening, I, Rygion, at your service, master. A young man in uniform knelt before me. I still couldn't get used to this. With a bitter smile, I helped Rygion to his feet. With this, all 3 members of the first party had gathered. Master, here are the current forces of the Union Guild. Yurnet waved her hand and hundreds of red dots appeared before us. One dot represented an airship. There were now 600 ships, more than yesterday. 8 p.m., huh? I looked at the table. The current time was 7:42 p.m. There were less than 20 minutes until the confrontation. To go through all this trouble. I looked to the right. 1-inch TV. Pick Me Up, Union Guild versus Niflheimer. Viewers, 213,053. The broadcast was already a hit. Not just on 1-inch TV, but famous BJs were also broadcasting the scene on their channels. On the broadcast screen, hundreds of airships were floating in formation. I didn't expect it to become a spectacle. It's unbelievable. Don't worry, Master's face will not be revealed. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble. I crossed my arms and looked ahead from the captain's seat. Dimension 7375, Macurnus. The meetup place was an ownerless dimension. Beyond the sky dyed with deep sunset, hundreds of airships were lined up in formation, visible even to the naked eye. Isel shivered. So many of them. They feel buzzing with life. Doesn't it look like it'll be fun to shoot? Fun to shoot? We'd be rags just from their volley. Why do we only have one ship? Niflheimer also has a magnificent fleet. A sword silently extended to Isel's neck. Master's command, stop whining. Rygion sheathed his sword. Isel looked at him with a pale face. It seems to be starting, Yurnet said, standing next to me. Looking at the map, hundreds of red dots were approaching. Niflheimer. A voice loud enough to tear eardrums shook the bridge. I am the fleet commander, Nistarda. Why did you only send one airship? Did you take our declaration of war lightly? Jackal 777. What? Why is there only one ship from Niflheimer? Ava Escort. Did they really come to surrender? GKK 013. Really? Goldspoon. Lol. Even Loki has given up. Money solves everything.
The chat on the right side of my vision was updating rapidly. In the midst of it, I noticed a familiar ID. Windflow. Go Loki. Isel 0479. You must win at all costs. Weird people are watching. Well, doesn't matter. Yurnet. Yes. Tell them to turn off the broadcast. Yurnet nodded and sent a proposal. Of course, the response was rejection and mockery. They refused. Then there's nothing we can do. The Union mobilized 600 airships and close to 4,000 heroes. In contrast, I only dispatched Brunhilde 01. In terms of fleet battle, we were no match. No matter how good Brunhilde's performance was, it couldn't overcome the disparity of hundreds to one. On 1-inch TV, chats expressing disappointment in me ran in a series. When the broadcast manager of the Union Guild conveyed that Loki asked to turn off the broadcast, the reactions became even heated. I smirked. They get excited quickly and cool down just as fast. The opposite was true as well. Today would be the same. Want to surrender? Sorry, but it's too late. Today we will annihilate you and show everyone that the Union Guild rules this world. Talkative, aren't they? Rygion laughed coldly. I leaned back in my chair. To my left was Yurnet, to my right Rygion, and behind me Nihaku. Just 3 people. The distance to the fleet was closing. The current time was 8 p.m., the time posted in the declaration of war. Hundreds of airships had surrounded Brunhilde 01. Here they come. Light began to gather at the gun ports of the airships to the left. Like the Milky Way, a white light lit up. It was a volley from the entire fleet. Yurnet, I have a question. I sat in my chair and spoke. Yes. Why did you call me? I'm useless. That's because we wanted to show you how we fight. Is that so? Yes. Hundreds of beams of light covered my vision, and when I opened my eyes, I found myself in an unfamiliar place, a circular area reminiscent of a sports field. Dozens of control devices and people filled every seat. We've arrived, Yurnit spoke. Achilles, was it? Yes, the flagship of the Union Guild. Yurnit had teleported us inside the enemy's flagship, bypassing kilometers of distance. No response from the enemy? Sunk? How arrogant. Just one ship? We'll advance as is. Attack Niflheimheimer. A man who appeared to be the captain laughed heartily. While he was chatting with the crew, his gaze suddenly turned towards us. We are invincible. Huh? You? What are you doing here? How did you get in? I was wondering if someone was here. The door opened and a man with sharp eyes walked in. He had 3 swords at his waist. I knew it wouldn't end like this. You've come, Loki's hounds. The blond man sneered coldly. Shadows of dozens of heroes rose behind him on the bridge. Are they the top heroes of the Union Guild? A blade-like aura emanated from the man. The others were the same. It was clear. Each was a powerhouse who had reached the pinnacle of the 6-star realm. I don't know how you got here, but you've come to find your way to the afterlife. Take them down. Hey, Captain. Huh? Quiet. What? These guys are my prey alone. Don't interfere. The blond man continued. I am Shutra, the White Sword King, and you are. Shutra's gaze shifted to Rygion. A confident smile hung on his lips. I've heard much about you, Sword Demon. I shall take that false title from you. Sword Demon? Don't worry about it. Rygion smiled broadly. Well, anyway, the White Sword King, I'd read about him in reports. A master of swordsmanship who has never lost in 100 duels. It said that the heroes gave him the name White Sword King out of fear. Die! The title of Mobius's supreme swordsman is mine! Shutra's hand moved toward his scabbard, and with dazzling speed his sword was drawn. His swordsmanship was so fast it was almost imperceptible. Without extraordinary perception, it would have been impossible to catch. White Sword King? May I borrow your sword? Rygion appeared in front of Shutra and snatched the sword from his hand. Then a streak of sword light flashed across the bridge. Following that, 25 crew members, 19 of the guard forces, many of whom were 6-star heroes, and other personnel, a total of 47 heroes, were instantly reduced to chunks of meat. Huh? Shutra stared dumbfounded at the cleared bridge. Rygion returned the sword to Shutra's scabbard. It served me well. A fine sword indeed. Yes, it was. Yurnit frowned, blood splattered, in front of the master. My apologies. In front stood the captain with a baffled expression. That's why I told you to turn off the broadcast. If the pay-to-win players get slaughtered live, wouldn't the game sales plummet? I walked past the captain with a smile.
Chapter 153. Please take a seat. Yurnit guided me to the captain's chair. I sat down, leaning back as the view outside the bridge came into focus. He must be watching. In Pick Me Up, multi-perspective viewing is supported. The masters of the Union Guild would have seen what happened inside the bridge. Of course, since it's in the game, there would be differences from what I experienced, but they could grasp the situation to some extent. Leroy Jenkins. Super, what just happened? Sijin 333. Can't you see? Loki heroes sliced through our forces with a single strike. Magnum Ross 13. Weren't there a lot of max-level heroes? The broadcast was the same. Dozens of chat lines refreshed simultaneously. I clicked my tongue. It wasn't exactly a spectacle I wanted others to see. Master, your command. What are you talking about? Please command us to victory. I narrowed my eyes. Yurnit was bowing her head beside me. Rygion and Nihaku were doing the same.
We cannot move without the master's command. Such troublesome matters. The three surrounded me, not moving an inch. This was not something I was used to. I sighed and muttered, "When?" As the master wishes. All three knelt simultaneously. I, being their master, knew best. Now that I had become a hero, I felt it even more. These guys are strong. Incredibly so. Unimaginably so. Let's begin. Yurnit stood up. A white light flashed in her eyes. Continue. Ching! Countless bookshelves unfurled around Yurnit's entire body. Then she dipped her fingers into the control hologram floating in the cockpit. Unknown error. Unknown error. Unknown error. Hundreds of warning messages popped up in the hologram along with the alarm. However, the messages disappeared in a few seconds. Configuration change complete. Reassigning the master of the fleet control system. Current master, Loki. In less than 10 seconds, Yurnit, having seized command over hundreds of airships, proceeded with the next action. Issuing a simultaneous bombardment order to the entire fleet. Warning, the target is friendly. Of course, the warning was lightly ignored. You have an impressive weapon, Yurnit said softly. Along with that, the Union Guild's flagship, Icarus, began to slowly rotate. The main cannon's targeting system aimed at a cluster of airships. Fire! Yurnit pressed the button hard. Qua! The entire bridge shook, and a massive pillar of light pierced through the cluster of airships. A few seconds later, a frantic voice echoed through the bridge. "Commander, what are you doing? Have you lost your mind?" "It wasn't me." The captain's face turned pale, and he slumped down. It's about time they react. I looked to the right side of my field of view. It seemed like the masters on the Union Guild side had given their orders as well. Fire, fire, fire! Bang, bang, bang! Every time Yurnit pressed the button, explosions followed explosions. Hundreds of airships aimed their cannons this way. You bastards! Light began to emerge from the cannon muzzles, a sign of a volley of fire. However, just before firing, the cannon's directions inexplicably shifted. Qua! Cannons fired at each other. Dozens of airships were shattered into debris. "This is fun," Yurnit said, covering her mouth and chuckling. I looked at the control hologram. Inside the airships, countless red dots appeared. They had teleported the Union Guild's elite heroes to suppress us. They were quickly advancing toward the bridge. Come. Rygian extended his hand, and a dazzling silver blade was drawn. With his stance ready, Rygian moved his hand. A white flash sprinted through the bridge. The red dots on the internal map rapidly disappeared. Long-range slaughter. The sword strike was delivered over tens of meters. It was an attack that ignored walls, shields, distance, everything. Goodness, I'm at a loss for words. Nihaku Gestveld taking off. Nihaku turned into a streak of lightning and burst through the ceiling. She was holding a golden bow. The eye that sees everything. Yurnit's eyes glowed white. Master, I will share this with you. Yurnit placed her finger on my forehead. Simultaneously, my field of view widened. It was the scene when weapons were summoned. The field of view was 360 degrees, with an observation distance of several kilometers. It allowed for piercing vision, even discerning the weaknesses and strengths of the opponents. Outside the bridge in the corridors, countless dead bodies were scattered. Heroes who had descended to the deck were instantly bisected by Rygian's sniper swordsmanship and disappeared. Airships continued to fire cannons at each other. The crew tried desperately to stop it, but the main cannon kept loading and firing. It was useless to try and stop. This fleet was under Yurnit's control. Hyper Ziri lightning. From Brunach, lightning with a diameter of several meters burst forth. The lightning stopped in midair, split into dozens of strands, accurately piercing the weak points of nearby airships. The sky flashed. The thunderstorm swept through the airships around it, continuously striking. What What is this? Iseli's eyes widened, frozen in place. That's why strategy isn't essential, I said with a bitter smile. Like in the missions, if the forces were perfectly balanced or lacking, I might have had to use my head. But no matter how many times I reviewed the report and replayed the footage, there was no angle. It doesn't make sense. Just the three of them against thousands? Iseli winced. The opponents have dozens of natural 5 stars, and there's so many 6 stars at max level. Leveling up isn't everything. Stats are just the basics. No matter how many natural 5 stars there are, if the master neglects them, they become nothing special. They can't overcome their limits. It seems they were too arrogant. These guys didn't understand their place. I looked at the broadcast screen. Rather than a cauldron of enthusiasm, the chat room had a chilly atmosphere. They wouldn't have known. The last time I posted a video was 6 months ago. That too was an old video. They might have heard that I want to fight, but they wouldn't know how. Lodestone 5E053. The gap is too vast. The broadcast has ended. With that last comment, the broadcast on 1-inch TV turned off. I continued to observe the battlefield. The cannons were more harmful than not using them at all, and due to Uranet's hacking, communication between ships was impossible. The invading forces were being destroyed as soon as they arrived by Rygian, and the fleet was being roasted by Nihaku shooting. Oh, ho, that is... A purple comet trailed as it fell toward us. Armageddon! A high-level magic spell was activated by 20 wizards at the cost of their life force. I've seen it a few times before. It seems so, Uranus said, slowly waving her hand.
The comet, hitting an invisible barrier, naturally dissipated. Then, lightning from Bruknak sprinted through the sky. Numerous blessings and magical barriers tried to block its path, but they were pierced through one by one. An airship exploded and broke apart.
Master, 587 unidentified channel chats have been detected. Would you like to check?
No. I ignored it. There's nothing to discuss with those about to die.
Master, 587 unidentified channel chats have been detected. Would you like to check?
No. I ignored it. There's nothing to discuss with those about to die. I spoke up. How's the situation with their other forces?
Mutin is suppressing them along with the First Fleet.
Good. The Union Guild's total power was about 1,000 airships. They deployed about 600 of them here, while the rest went to attack Niflheimer's main base. There was no need to investigate. It was expected. A decoy from the start. What we brought to the battlefield was merely a small airship. We couldn't sacrifice the latest airships for this battle.
Union Guild member Rodica has declared surrender. Do you accept?
No.
Union Guild member Kilied has... Union Guild member...
I rejected all the surrender declarations in succession. I leaned deeply into the back of my chair. The clear sky was now colored red with the glow and flash from the burning airships. You bastards. Flash. A light appeared in a corner of the bridge and several heroes appeared. It was clear at a glance. They were the Union Guild's key figures, each with a twisted expression. We will erase you from this world even if it costs our lives! A knight in white armor wielding a shining sword charged at me. Before he could take a few steps, he was split into dozens of pieces and scattered. The woman behind him gritted her teeth. You won't even accept a surrender! At least the innocent crew members? Rygian snicked. As if they never existed, they disappeared os. I cooled my gaze. Not a single one of them should be spared.
As you command.
The airships attempting to leave the area returned to their places as if nothing had happened. Their piloting functions had been taken away. I can't forgive backstabbers. They said they would settle everything in one place, but went to attack the main base on the other side. They had sold their consciences. What are you? Izel looked around at Uranus. There was fear in our gaze. Uranus smiled. If you want to stop being an intern, get used to it. To what? Winning. Anyway, I moved my hand to the control window on the left side of my sight. It was Urnit's doing. The master's screen was displayed. I entered the Hero tab and adjusted the fleet. The target was the bases of Union Guild members we had identified in advance. Not a single blade of grass would be left. The plan was to uproot them completely. Millions will fly away in minutes. Well, it's not my money. I ordered the advance. Considering everything, there were hundreds of airships and thousands of men. They had used so much, yet survivors remained. However, they had lost all their combat capabilities. They wouldn't be able to resist. It's about that time they showed up. I rested my chin in my hand. There were those who hadn't appeared until now, a particularly notable group among the Union Guild's heroes. "Master, it's them," Urnit whispered in my ear. I nodded. "They are quite late. They should have incurred enough losses by now." Swoosh! In the left corner of the bridge, dark shadows gathered. Shadows that appeared with an ominous aura rose up, each taking the form of a person. 3 individuals, 2 men and 1 woman. Their profiles popped up in my sight. Uruka DJ, level 99. Siha Niatra, level 99. Nord, level unknown. A robust old man, a woman with a voluptuous figure, and a young man with a pallid complexion like a corpse. Each had a distinctive appearance. The commander of the airship opened his mouth. Who are they?" "They are direct heroes under the Union Guild's leader. Be careful. They're on a different level from the heroes we faced so far." "Why are you speaking as if you're on our side? You're an enemy." Realizing his mistake, the commander had a dumbfounded expression. The woman looked at the commander with a flirtatious gaze. "Commander, you were trusted with this position by the leader, and you betray us like this." "No, Ugh!" Suddenly, black blood flowed from the captain's eyes, nose, and ears, and soon he collapsed onto the floor. After twitching, his movement stopped. He was dead. "Ha! What a death befitting a bug!" The woman's gaze turned towards me. "Oh my, a handsome man. Won't you play with me?" The old man burst into laughter and stepped forward. "Ah ha 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 ha! Welcome, warriors of Niflheimer. I am Uruka DJ, an advisor of the Union Guild. I look forward to working with you." "I'm Siha Niatra, in charge of beauty in the Union Guild. Nice to meet you." The young man with the pale complexion said nothing. "You might think you've won against us, but don't be mistaken. These are just a small part of our forces. They are as insignificant as bugs." She swayed her large chest as she walked forward. "Ooh, I am a witch cursed with 7 plagues, an incarnation of immortality, an eternal witch who is not permitted to die. I shall grant you a painful and beautiful death, the absolute—" Crack! Lightning struck, and Siha's upper body disappeared. Her lower body, left behind, trembled and then collapsed to the side. "Oops! Shot her by mistake!" Nihaku, having returned at some point, smiled sheepishly. Uruka smiled warmly. "Don't worry. She won't die from this. Come on, get up. We have guests waiting." Twitch, twitch. The legs that showcased her figure trembled and then slumped. And then they moved no more. "Why aren't you getting up?"
Chapter 154. Uruka looked down at Siha's corpse, his face flustered. Even after several seconds, there was no movement, only blood soaking into the ground. "Hey, is this some kind of joke?" Nihaku's lightning was imbued with various penetrations and curses. It was a necessary measure to deal with monsters living above the 80th floor. "She's dead," I said with a lazy smile. "Nonsense! Siha could come back to life even if torn into hundreds of pieces." "Master, you don't need to speak to him." A murderous gaze shifted toward the corpse. "How dare you wag your tail at our master?" With a gesture from Urnit, Siha's legs disintegrated into particles and vanished. Complete annihilation. Uruka stared at us dazed. Yurnet smiled. So, when will the Union Guild show its real power? Uruka bit his lip, then shouted in defiance. That wench was just a figurehead for the Union Guild. I'll show you my real power. A book flew out from Uruka's chest. The thick cover was made of human skin, and a sickening smell of blood emanated from it. A grimoire, it seems, I muttered, already guessing his profession. A necromancer, no doubt. Rise! Purple magic power surged from Uruka. Corpses scattered across the bridge began to rise. I'll add you to my collection. Combining 4 of your corpses will be just perfect. Go, my immortal army, feast upon them to your heart's content. Disappear. Yurnet swiped her hand. The corpses filling the bridge shattered as if they had never existed. Huh? Uruka staggered. Rise! Rise, I said! What the... Damn, what is this sorcery? Not really anything special. Go to hell. Black light emanated from Uruka's fingertips. Before he could fire his magic, a flash of light sliced through, and his right arm fell to the ground, blood spurting. Uruka writhed on the ground, clutching his severed arm, a miserable end compared to his earlier bravado. I turned my gaze away. Behind the blood-soaked pair, a young man watched us with his expression unchanged. Nord. Level? ? There were 2 possibilities. Either he had a skill to hide his level, or... Is he the candidate for the 7 stars? Surely it was him. The submaster of the Union Guild and the sole infiltrator of the Bart's Alliance's leadership, who had massacred hundreds of heroes. According to eyewitness accounts, he overcame the resistance of high-ranking heroes as easily as taking candy from a baby. Hey, if it's you! Soaked in blood, Uruka approached the young man and grabbed his clothes in desperation. Kill them all! The power of the Union Guild! A smirk appeared on the young man's face. His pale hand grabbed Uruka's collar, and a dark shadow rose behind him, swallowing Uruka whole. Crunch, crunch, spit. A few bones flew out from the shadow. It was clear now. Yurnet smiled faintly. That hero is not an ordinary 6-star. You might not have seen it before, Master, but a 7-star can perform synthesis on its own. Are you saying what he just did was synthesis? Rygion stepped forward. Stand back. This might get a little intense. Indeed, he didn't seem like an ordinary hero. 7 stars, the hero grade I so desperately wanted while playing Pick Me Up. I needed a specific item called the Reversed Heaven Scroll. I scoured every information site and searched every sector like hunting a mouse, but in the end, I never got it. That was one of the reasons I came here. It was related to the ultra-grade dungeon. But this guy, he felt different from the 7 stars I knew. I shook my head. Doesn't seem like a 7-star. It appears to be incomplete. Yurnet replied, Yes. I looked to the right. The 1-inch TV broadcast had long been turned off. In the channel chat, all the masters except for the Union Guild's leader had left. Kaiser 32, the leader's nickname. I brought up the virtual keyboard and typed. Loki. Where did this hero come from? Kaiser 32. None of your business. Loki. If you don't tell me, you die. As soon as I finished typing, Nord's eyebrows twitched. His pale lips parted. Cook, you'll kill me? His voice was like scraping metal. The emotionless young man's face became animated. Fools, you'll kill me? Merely data, and you think you can kill me? Ah ha ha! Don't you get it? I, who have obtained infinite power, cannot be killed by the likes of you. Contempt and cynicism settled on his face. Then he stomped his foot. A dark red aura erupted from his body. Danger. Nord,
Level 143. Nord's right arm rode, transforming into a demonic mouth. Maniacal laughter erupted from him. "I'll devour you." Boom! Just stomping his foot shook the ground. In the next moment, he reached Rygion. The demon's mouth opened wide. "Let me take a bite." Slash! Nord's right arm was severed. He continued his sinister laughter, and the regenerated demon arm chased after Rygion. "Heh, is this guy like a cockroach trio or what?" Nihaku loaded a golden arrow onto her bow. "Cockroach extermination requires DDT, you know." "Wait!" I blocked Nihaku. A necromancer witch, an old necromancer who dealt with corpses, and a demonic young man. A peculiar combination, indeed. "Let's watch a bit longer. We might get some information." "I agree." But it's boring." Nihaku reluctantly dismissed the arrow. "What leisure do you have? Soon you'll all be digested in my stomach." Even as his body was sliced and chopped, Nord continued to laugh maniacally. His body was a cycle of severing and regeneration. "Go ahead, cut more, kill more. The more I am killed, the more complete I become." "Master, I've brought warm tea and cookies. Coffee or tea?" "Coffee." "As you wish." A small table and chairs appeared. I sat down and drank the coffee your net poured for me. "Look how I grew even stronger. Eventually, I will make all the worlds kneel before me." Nord, level 164. I savored the coffee while observing him. His level rose each time his body recovered. It's not just that. He's gaining resistance to being cut. Ugh, this swill is terrible. That's not swill, it's coffee, a delicacy from Earth. Phew, it's so bitter. I don't see the appeal. I watched, nibbling on a cookie. The level and resistance increased with each regeneration. Indeed, he seemed capable of annihilating a guild on his own. "How does it taste? I bake them myself." "Too sweet." "Is that so? In the future, I will—" You bastards! What kind of party are you putting in front of others?" Nord charged at us, his eyes flashing red. With a flash of Rygion's sword, his limbs were sliced apart. Nord, regenerating in less than a second, extended a demonic arm. "You kill all!" "Don't interfere." Suddenly, Nord's body was flung tens of meters away, rolling on the ground. Your net smiled gently. "Continue, Rygion, until the master is satisfied." "That's the plan," Rygion laughed heartily, his sword hanging down. "These bastards, I will definitely kill them." A deep murderous eye flashed in Nord's eyes. As he reached out, the pool of blood gathered into his shadow. Nord, level 176. His level rose again. It seemed he had absorbed the essence of the corpses.
An interesting ability. Intern. Yes? What are you doing? Record this. It's valuable data. Oh, right. Iselle hurriedly opened her notebook and started writing. Nord roared. Not only his right arm, but every part of his body, from his limbs to his chest, began to transform into a demon. Transformation is possible too. Transformation is possible. Note that. You jerks. The young man, now fully transformed into a monster except for his face, roared. He was about 3 meters tall. His skin covering his muscles rippled, exerting immense pressure. It felt as if a lion was facing a mouse. How ugly! Rygion adjusted his sword expressionlessly. As Nord moved, shockwaves erupted, crushing and destroying the surroundings. Rygion, moving as light as a feather, inscribed slashes on the demon's steel-like skin. It seems the test subject's resistance to slashing has reached its limit, about 90% resistance. 90% resistance? But he's cutting through it like butter. I typed on the virtual keyboard. Where did this guy come from? Kaiser did not respond. Doesn't want to talk, huh? Or Is he unable to respond? I watched Nord. Despite appearing to press Rigian hard, the reality was the opposite. From the beginning, Nord's attacks couldn't even graze his clothing, let alone damage him. Despite his level and resistance rising with each regeneration, the situation did not improve after dozens of recoveries. Even though he's being given a lot of leeway. I sighed. This was one of the reasons I decided to leave Niflheim. Being with these guys skews your sense of power. Nord, level 185. It seemed this was the limit. Yernit spoke up. It seems this is the limit. True to her words, his level wasn't increasing anymore. Master, we've collected enough data. If we analyze it back home, I believe we'll find meaningful results. Let him go. It's pitiful. As you command. Rigian? I heard you. Rigian, who had been engaging Nord, stepped back. Nord, with a wild roar, charged in. His steel-like claws, nearly 1 meter long, gleamed threateningly. And then, with one strike, Nord's entire body was sliced into dozens of pieces. I was getting tired of playing, Rigian said, unimpressed. Like being put through a blender, the sliced pieces of meat didn't move an inch. It was over in one blow. It is done, Master. The victorious Rigian bowed to me. You did well. A sword is meant to look good in front of the Master. It wasn't that great. Rigian then stood behind me. I finished the rest of my coffee. How's the situation elsewhere? Currently, the 1st, 3rd, and 7th fleets are infiltrating the Union Guild's base. The situation is smooth. There are resisting groups, but no casualties on our side. On the operation screen to my right, blue dots were attacking the red dots, encircling them. I touched the tactical tool and rearranged the fleet, slightly adjusting the attack formation. That was it. There's not much strategy needed. After all, we could just crush them without any special tactics. Unique tactics that others don't usually use require a certain level of risk. There is a reason these tactics aren't standard. As Sun Tzu said, win first, then fight. Keep the distance and suppress with superior range. The technological gap, the range of our firepower is almost twice that of the enemy's. If the enemies approach, order a retreat. If they flee, advance. It's a very basic tactic, but it's effective for that reason. In asymmetric warfare, victory is a must. The quality of our heroes is overwhelming. On the Master's screen, Mudin, flying on a spear, was successively destroying the enemy's key airships. Next to him was... A familiar figure was swinging his spear alongside Mudin. I couldn't help but laugh. He was alive after all. Anyway, the battle on the other side was also a sweeping victory.
Chapter 155. I crossed my arms. Even if Party 1 hadn't participated, today's outcome would have been the same. It was only a matter of how quickly or slowly it happened. Was he always this strong? Isal muttered, peering into the screen. What is it? Oh no. I heard you were strong, but this is strange. Didn't they struggle when they were attacked from another server? Said they've nearly lost several times. There were indeed such stories. Isel seems to be in shock. I did nothing. Such modesty doesn't suit you. Look, that time the 4th-ranked player attacked, remember? Level 350. You nearly faced annihilation then. That never happened. There seems to be some misunderstanding. The 7-star guy from back then was the real deal. He was indeed strong. But even he fled, barely saving his life after losing to Cirrus. That's why I'm obsessed with 7 stars, especially given how things stand now. If it moves up one more grade, it's frustrating. But leaving that aside, I zoomed in on Aaron fighting. He was holding his own against 2 attackers. His spear-wielding form was fierce. He's gotten much stronger. Mayuden said so. Said he'd never seen someone so lacking in talent. Really? To send him back where he belongs, we'll need a bit more time. He's just learned the basics. I nodded in agreement. Aaron has indeed gotten stronger. It's palpable even through the screen. If we brought him now, he could do more than his share of fare, a great boon to the battered forces of Townia. But what a foolish notion. You're nowhere near ready to descend. Mayuden wouldn't accept him a second time. I need to squeeze out as much value as possible. I closed Aaron's screen. Master, this battle will soon end, but what will you do? Will you return immediately? That was the plan? Yurnet's expression darkened suddenly. But I've changed my mind. I see. Yurnet nodded, her mood lightening. I pointed to the dismembered corpse of Nord. I plan to stay until the analysis on this guy is complete. I hadn't expected to find a clue about the 7 stars here. A stroke of fortune not to be missed. And I still have time until the week I promised the kids from Townia. 3 days should do. I told my comrades I'd return by then. That will suffice. At Yurnet's gesture, the flesh trembled and was sucked into a dimensional portal. I turned to Rigian and Nihaku standing behind me. You've also worked hard. Heh, thank you. It's all thanks to the master. They bowed side by side. I smiled. Never thought I'd face off with characters I trained. After some minor post-battle tasks, I returned to the flagship Brunhilde. I planned to stay here until the analysis results came out. In place of the busy Yurnet, I handled Niflheim's affairs. With Yurnet's help, I opened the master control window, managing it as I would on Earth. I received reports from my subordinates and decided on the direction to proceed. Business as usual. And in my spare time, I continued my duel with Rigian. Remarkable. That's not for you to say. Cough? I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. Rigian stood in front of me with a stiff expression. What I did was simple. I hammered him with Ascend, followed by a Soul Blade fusion in one go. Just once, wringing it all out. Still, huh? I continued, clutching my trembling legs. I managed to push him back. Rigian had retreated 5 steps. Although we adjusted our stats to be on par for a fair fight, the outcome was praiseworthy. Only moving him back 5 steps with a full-powered finishing move felt somewhat sad. I feel like I'm gonna die. I downed a high-level recovery potion. The pain gradually subsided. Even with minimized power, I couldn't withstand the backlash. I survived because the entire training area was enchanted with healing magic. In a real fight, I would have been knocked out instantly. This skill has tremendous growth potential. Reminds me of the old Cirrus. Rigian smiled softly. The old Cirrus? She lacked in many areas compared to me, but she overcame them with a mysterious power. It wasn't that mysterious. To me it was. Well, it was a rare opportunity anyway. Who knows when I'll get to cross swords again once I return. I positioned myself and raised my sword. A few days later, in the evening, 1 day remained until my return. I planned to return tomorrow. I could receive reports from Townia as well. As I was handling work in Brunhilde's temporary office, the door burst open. Yurnet? Yes, excuse me. Yurnet slowly walked towards me, carrying a briefcase at her side. Master, the analysis is complete. Good work. Put it there. I opened the briefcase Yurnet placed. Blue letters were etched on the dense papers. The documents had been magically processed. Inserted into the shredder below the desk, they could be viewed as holograms. I reflected on the battle with the Union. Kaiser's Submaster, Nord, had ultimately reached level 185. According to Yurnet, he met all the conditions for 7 stars. If it weren't for our prior knowledge, we might have found him troublesome if he had carefully cultivated his power. Where did he come from? A Heaven-Defying book is required for ascending to 7 stars. The Heaven-Defying book can be obtained at a low probability from the Supreme Advent Dungeon. This was introduced in the official guide of Pick Me Up. There's no doubting its credibility. Skipping what kind of it is. The Union's leader, Kaiser 32, vanished after the battle. Despite numerous attempts at contact through chat and mail, there was no response. His last message was, "You don't need to know." You don't need to know. Yurnet stood beside me. This girl had more information resources than I imagined, not just in Mobius. She's renowned as a skilled hacker on Earth, too. Apparently, magical formulas and hacking codes have similarities. Kaiser 32 and Nord's sickle. The report's introduction came to mind. I started scrolling down. First, Kaiser 32. Name, So Tae-jun. Age, 32. His personal details were recorded alongside a photo. So he was 32 because of his age. Quite the sense of humor. I chuckled lightly as I continued reading. Born with a diamond spoon, with his history of spending millions in games. The third son of the Changshin Group. Changshin Group is one of the top conglomerates in Korea. Originally, he was to inherit one of the associates and live a luxurious life, but was ousted in the succession battle. Caught in between the power struggles, he was pushed out and sent to live within the provinces with nothing but his wealth. And so he turned to gaming, investing millions into every game. He dominated the rankings as if it were child's play. He threw money around, playing the king among his circle of acquaintances. Testimonies of his distinctive influence were attached to the report. Unable to exert such power in real life, he desired to be the king at least in the virtual world.
The fifth game was L, famous for its exorbitant spending policies. After conquering L, he moved on to Pick Me Up with his clan members. That was 3 months ago in real time. What followed was As I Knew. He splurged on heroes, climbing the ranks through looting and destruction, until he was utterly defeated by Niflheim. To think she could even dig up the master's origins. I clicked my tongue and said, "How did you find out all of this?" "Well, since it's recorded on Mobius's server." Yurnet cleared her throat before continuing. "Master, the next part might be shocking. Please brace yourself." "What do you mean?" "Kaiser 32's current situation." "I think I know where this is going. What became of him?" I scrolled down. The next page of the report was blank. But slowly, noise began to creep onto the screen, and a black and white video started playing. Cam 32. A dark room. The curtains were drawn, and the door was firmly closed. Not a single light entered the space. The only thing in the room was a solitary bed, and on the bed... "What's this video?" I frowned. "It's from a hospital. The security was quite tight, so it was challenging to get through." "CCTV footage?" "Yes. Changshin General Hospital, basement level 3. That man is Seo Tae-jun, 32 years old. He was declared brain dead about a month ago." So, it was as I suspected. Various pieces of the puzzle, which I only had suspicions about, clicked into place. I smirked bitterly. "Where's my body, then?" "I'm sorry. That's something we haven't been able to find out." "I thought so. All right. Just give me a moment. I'd like to be alone." "Excuse me, then." Yurnet bowed and left the room. I placed my hand on the table. The man in the video was sleeping like the dead. In reality, that's probably what he was. Being brain dead meant he was nothing more than a living corpse. So Kaiser 32 and Nord were the same person after all. There's no other explanation. Half hero, half master, the condition for becoming a 7-star, as Yurnet once explained. As I sorted through the information, the more engrossed a master becomes in the game, the closer they get to Mobius. That's why, as the floors get higher, the concentration of interference grows, like what anything is experiencing now. Heroes become stronger, and missions can be more significantly influenced. The heaven-defying book. Even the name was nonsensical. Defying heaven. I see. The condition to become a 7-star was simple: the fusion of hero and master. In the process,
the master dies, just like Seo Taejun ended up a corpse on that bed. From the first to the fourth rank, there's almost no publicly known information about them, only that they've reached floor 90. But it wasn't always like this. There were a few who were treated like celebrities on community sites back in the day. I even received help from one when I was a newbie. They vanished all of a sudden. Did they die? Among them was a genius I even admired. If Kaiser 32 is dead, then Nord was the actual leader of the Union. After obtaining the power of a 7-star, he invaded Niflheim pretending to be a master. There was a justification. Even if someone familiar with Seo Taejun's situation appeared, they could simply claim it was autonomous action. The accounts above me were no different. I closed my eyes. Her voice slowly rewound in my mind, the one who summoned me here. That irksome voice is still clear. You can't possibly believe that. You are a special being. This place is a gift for you, a stage prepared for you, the glorious rancor of pick-me-up. Don't hate too much. Your summoning to Mobius was also unexpected for me, an unforeseen accident. You were the only one who truly realized the meaning of those words. Among 100 million masters, you were the only one. But you were different. The only master who truly dominated the waiting room was you. All of it. Smooth talk. I wasn't summoned by him. It was just an accident. Her intention from the start was singular, to kill me. Ceres would have been the target for fusion. The purpose is obvious, a 7-star. For that reason, she opened the Supreme Advent dungeon in my account. But due to some unknown cause, the fusion failed, and I survived. So she thought it over. To recycle me, quite the frugal one, would make a great housewife, don't you think? Isn't that right, Tell? I muttered the name of the person I knew.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.